What is up, guys? Troy here, and today's Sunday, which means it's time for another episode of Weekly Gaming News Roundup. Now, this week we have a bit of sad news and some good news as well, but first about the gameplay. This is just some old footage of Conquest on Marquez Monolith. Now, I actually don't play Conquest much on the Aftermath DLC maps. I do tend to play Rush more often, as I've showcased in the past. But it was a fun game nonetheless. The squad I was in was mostly sticking to the scout chopper, and the chopper pilot was actually really good. I was getting a lot of spot assists and spot bonuses just after I would spot the enemy chopper. So props to those guys for being really good pilots and working together as a team, helping us out on the ground. I just wish we had a lot better ground game in terms of the infantry players to help out the rest of the team, because we do end up losing this round, actually. So let's get started with the news. We're going to get some of the bad and sad news out of the way first today, starting with Ubisoft user accounts getting hacked this past week and potentially compromising end users' data, things like usernames and the passwords. While this is bad news, it's honestly not surprising. It seems in this day and age, at least, that any major company with any kind of major online web or internet presence is going to attract the attention of so-called hackers who just obviously have too much time on their hands and don't know how to use it constructively. Google, Yahoo, Facebook, Twitter, EA, DICE, Sony, Microsoft. I mean, the list goes on and on. Not much that us as end users can do about it other than try to have decently strong passwords, change them regularly once or twice a month at least, and just kind of hope that these companies take internet security seriously. Yeah, I had just received an email this past week from Ubisoft a few days ago prompting me to change my password for my Ubisoft account. What's interesting thing about this story breaking is I would have actually totally forgotten that I have a Ubisoft account in the first place. I don't remember what game it's for, most likely one of the previous Rainbow Six games. Another thing that's troubling about this story, with it being Ubisoft, is that I think this is the third time this year that Ubisoft has been attacked. So seriously, Ubisoft, get your act together, secure your sites and accounts, and don't leave your customers out to dry with their end user data and their password accounts and end user names. Take internet technology security seriously, like all companies should. Next up on the old news wire is actually some really sad news. The inventor of the computer mouse, Douglas EngelBart, has passed away at the ripe old age of 88. And Mr. EngelBart demonstrated the first mouse way back in 1968. Now even though he will be remembered for the invention of the mouse, he actually did help envision and pioneer other aspects of modern computing that are pretty much standard to this day. That same year, back in 1968, EngelBart demonstrated not only the computer mouse, but was also called the online system, which demonstrated video conferencing, teleconferencing, hypertext link, word processing, hypermedia, dynamic file linking, revision control, and even a collaborative real-time editor. A lot of these features are standard in modern operating systems, internet sites, and protocols. So Mr. EngelBart, I salute you for inventing pretty much the best input device for any type of computer. My G500 thanks you. But don't worry, sir, I do not blame you for the rise of Razor Mice fanboys, but forever rest in peace. Okay, let's try to turn those frowns upside down with some more uplifting news, and that is the Walking Dead DLC, known as 400 Days, and is out. And it seems to actually be getting good reviews. Now, full disclosure, I haven't actually played the Walking Dead game that was released last year. I was never really a fan of the show. I'm never really a big fan of zombies in general. It seems like zombies are somewhat of the flavor of the month genre for movies and TV shows and games. But I might be picking this game up. I like the look of its art style. And it's actually been a while since I played a game that has a well-written storyline, well-developed characters that you can engage with. And the last zombie game I played was the Left 4 Dead series a few months back. I did see World War Z just a couple weeks ago, and that was pretty good. I liked that. So I'm definitely going to add this game to the list of my backlog of games that need to be played. And from what I've seen so far, I don't think I will be disappointed. And if you played the game and you liked it, you plan on picking up this DLC, then you as well shouldn't be disappointed. The only negative thing I've heard so far from the reviews of the 400 Days DLC is that a lot of people wish it was a little bit longer, but other than that, it looks to be a great choice so far. And if they can make a game out of a show and a comic like The Walking Dead into a really great game with great writing and well-developed characters and an appealing art style, then I hope that someday a good game based on the show Dexter can be made in a similar style, which currently is my favorite show on TV. The Season 8 just premiered last week. Tonight is going to be the second episode of Season 8, so I'm really excited. And you know, the style that the Walking Dead game is in, I think it would really fit with Dexter, the interwoven characters. Things like that I would really like to see in a great game. Next up on the news, for the final story today, is that Valve is adding more maps to Team Fortress 2, as well as a patch to fix some of the glitching exploits. Now, if you have Steam, you should definitely install Team Fortress 2. It's free to play. It gets patched usually every 2 to 3 days, and it's just plain old goofy first-person shooter fun. It's one of those games where you can go in and not be stressed about blueberries not supporting the team. You have some laughs. It doesn't take itself so seriously like the Battlefields and the Armas and those really stout military-based first-person shooters. What's really great about Valve adding these new maps is the fact that the maps are actually community-created. And, you know, companies like DICE could definitely take a page from Valve's playbook and do the same. But we honestly all know that that will never happen, ever. I just wish Valve wasn't so slow to introduce new features and maps from the community. Steam itself, as a digital distribution platform, is Valve's main focus and has been for quite some time, and I think that is the reason why Valve themselves are kind of slow with their own games, especially Half-Life 3, which is still missing in action. But in all honesty, if you haven't played Team Fortress 2 yet, I would definitely recommend go ahead, install it. It's free to play. They have microtransactions for things that aren't game breaking. It's cosmetic and aesthetic. It's not pay to win. I'm definitely going to be jumping on some of the new community created maps in a lot of the other PC games I've played in the past. You know, those are community creative maps and community created patches and things. Those are the things that keep games alive, and certainly as something I'd like to see other companies do, but we know it's not going to happen. You know, they're not going to make any money off of it. But I'm glad that there's a company out there like Valve that is willing to put out there a lot of the aspects and community involvement that's been created through their community to keep their fans engaged, and it's something that I'd love to see from other companies. Well, guys, that's going to be all for this episode of the Weekly Gaming News Roundup. Be sure to check the descriptions for the linked articles to all of today's news stories if you haven't read about them yet. I will have a bonus video coming in the next 2 or 3 days showcasing an inadvertent kit stealing when I got revived, which is interesting to say the least. It was fun. It was kind of a Battlefield 3 rewind to when the game first came out with the kit that I actually ended up getting. And stay tuned for tomorrow's episode of Battlefield 3 favorite maps. At this point, I don't know if it's going to be Conquest Assault or Conquest Domination. I was planning on Conquest Assault, but it's been frustrating with server selection, server populations on some of the game modes recently, especially some of the game modes that aren't as played as much as, say, your basic Conquest, Rush, and TDM. That's why I decided to try to get these bigger game modes out of the way. But I guess it's really depending on the time of the week and the time of the day that I play. So it's been real frustrating with that, but I will definitely have a Battlefield 3 favorite maps episode for you tomorrow. But other than that, I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you enjoy the rest of the round. And as always, thanks for supporting me, and take care, guys.